Greetings, Patrick here. Welcome to the show. It's another time for another edition of Eight Questions with, and tonight we'll be speaking with Laura LaMonaco. She's an actress, a acting coach, and getting into the world of producing. And this is a very, very interesting young lady. I got a chance to talk to her a little bit today before our show, and she is a lot of fun, that's for sure. Not afraid to roll up her sleeves and get her hands dirty, and willing to share the wisdom that she's gained over her acting career, um, which I think is really cool. I do. I know we've all heard the phrase of those who can't teach. It should be reversed for this. I think people who can who coach, I'm glad they're acting. I'm glad that they're working hard at it, and I'm really glad. And I think it's really inspiring that they share their skill with up and coming actors, because you really need that in your career as far as actors go. I was really impressed when I was reading the article on People magazine about a year ago, and I was reading how Harry Hamlin, who has done ton of work. He's a well-known actor, very well known. And what's really cool about it is that during his interview, he said even at 71, he still goes to acting class as a student once a week. I just, I thought that was like the coolest thing. The coolest thing. Still willing to get out there, and there's people out there willing to teach, because the new generation of actors that are coming through the doorway, it's a whole new ball game. It's no longer just like it was. Everything evolves, and learning to act also acting is also evolving. Things that might have worked 10, 15, 20 years ago, not so much today. Actors have to be a lot more savvy, and not only in how they present themselves via social media, self audition, and material. They have to be a little bit more. It's good to work, but it's also okay not to work. Don't throw your pearls before swine. And I'll be talking about that a little bit later on, not tonight, but you'll know when I hit that. You'll know when I talk about it. Hey Eric, how are you, sir? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. And tomorrow night, me and the cheater will be flying on over to Eric's page to check out his interview with Madman Pondo. That's right. He wasn't here that Pondo landed first. It was over on Eric's channel, and then I got him, and now Eric's going to talk to him about his new book coming out and all things horror, because we found out that Madman Pondo, he likes horror movies, not Hereditary though, and we're still working on him. We're skinning him Rennick though. I think I can get him to come my way, come over to the dark side, because I got cookies. That's right. New, and I got it. Yeah, we gotta hype this up. So, well, first of all, let me take a second to say condolences to Robert Duvall's family. Robert Duvall passed away at 95. Yeah, man, that guy had an awesome career. Um, it always kills me. It always kills me. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. Maybe it's just me. And if so, tell me so. Someone had commented how it was sad uh, that he passed away, and someone else said, "Much too soon." I'm not kidding you. The man was 95 years old, and he says he lost him much too soon. And I just looked at both those responses, and I said, it does a disservice to Robert Duvall in a sense, because he had a long, rich, awesome career. 95 years old, still kicking it, still talking to his fans. The man lived a great life. He left a legacy that's up to us. The best way we could honor Robert Duvall is talk about Robert Duvall, to review some of his works and leave it here on a platform like a YouTube. maybe 10 or 15 years down the line, some kid will be sitting up there signing up going like, who's this Robert Duvall guy? There's a lot of people out there talking about him. And next thing you know, he's finding Lonesome Dove. He's finding the Great Santini. He's finding the Godfather. And then off he goes down the rabbit hole that is Robert Duvall's legacy. I celebrate his life. 95 years old, he had an awesome life. If he had been 35 years old, I understand that. That would be terrible. But 95 years old, with the body of work that he left behind, oh my gosh, man, he just left a great legacy behind. So hats off to Robert Duvall, and thank you for everything that he did for us as far as enjoying films. And yeah, and Eric has mentioned our new retro tube is out, and I finally got it right on how to record this. So me and Eric, we did our first retro tube together. We're gonna have a lot of other guests come on too. I'm working on that. It's a great format. It's really a fun format, and it doesn't take very long to do it. We grab a TV show. Yesterday we grabbed a show from 1992 called Renegade, and we find an episode. We pull it. We watch that one episode. Watch just the one. And we don't really go too much in the overall of the series because we might be coming back to revisit it. So we want to have literally something on the bone. We just want to talk mostly about that one episode that we picked out. So yesterday we picked out Mother's Courage, and we had such a blast with that. Just a tremendous episode of the show, a show that really nobody really knows about. It's just been forgotten. And though Russell knew about it. And it was a lot of fun. We had a blast. And we're going to be coming back. We're coming back to do another one. Me and Eric are definitely going to be coming back. His schedule's crazy, so we'll work around that schedule, and then we'll bring it back. And wait till you see what we brought you. You're gonna be pleasantly surprised. And again, in a weird ways, even though they had a revival of the show, I'm not going to tell you the show. I'm going to surprise that, but I'll just give you a hint. It got revived, and yeah, it didn't do that well, which I don't understand why. But holy cow, cannot wait to sink our teeth into it. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, we did the Renegade. We did Mother's Courage. It featured Jackie Earle Haley, a favorite actor of mine and Eric's for sure. Some of you as well. I'm positive of that. Anybody who loves superhero movies at all on any level will definitely say Jackie Earle Haley is a badass. So yeah, I totally agree. 95 years old. He had an awesome career, just an awesome career. I also put real quick before some of you guys are still in the chat there. There is the link up to our guest. She is starting her YouTube channel. And if you guys could slide on up there and pop that and give it a follow, a subscribe, that would be awesome. I know Laura would appreciate it. I certainly would appreciate it. The Cheetah would appreciate it. That would be very kind. And share us out too. I've gotten away from those habits. I think like share us out. I don't know why I keep forgetting that, but by all means, please share us out. Hit that community tab. And we'll be talking with Laura LaMonaco in a few seconds, which will be a lot of fun. All right. Yeah, and Stephen had a guest on his show, a guest that we had on last week, Christy Newton, and very nice lady. Really enjoyed talking to her. We got her co-partner, her co-pilot, Scarlett Fry, will be here with us next week. And what a great segue what a great segue to the calendar. So, tomorrow night, like I said, if you guys follow Hey Internet, it's Eric. Tomorrow night at 7:30, I believe it's 7:30. It could be wrong. He's going to be interviewing Madman Pondo again. That's going to be a great interview. I think it's actually going to be more horror oriented. Now, Madman Pondo is a deathmatch wrestler, uh, but he's also a huge fan of horror. And it was so weird. Like I said, it was so weird because I'm like, so I understand, like I said, I understand you don't like Hereditary. No. Oh, okay. Well, we'll ride together. We'll ride. Do well to ride the river together. Oh yeah. What other movies you don't like? Well, I don't like Skinamarink. Wow. I guess we'll have to have a showdown at the OK Corral. But no, I yeah, but it was and speaking of that, Skinamarink, definitely have to say happy birthday to our friend Jamie Hill, a friend of the show, an actress who did Skinamarink. Uh, and so happy birthday to Jamie. Um, she always pops in and says hello, and she's also very supportive of other artists as well. I see a lot of times I go into my TikTok and I'll get a shared a live. Jamie has shared somebody's live with me, and she's promoting and helping other people. So hats off to Jamie, Jamie Hill. She's a terrific person, and yeah, we gotta have her back on. I gotta see what she's up to. I really enjoy talking to her, and I really enjoy talking about the movie as well. But back to the calendar because our calendar is busy. Let's see. So next week, next Tuesday, or actually next Sunday, this Sunday coming up, we have RetroTube at 6 p.m. We're taking a look at an episode of Scrubs called My Super Ego. We'll be taking a look at that at 6 p.m. And then at 8 p.m. here on the channel, we have a full crew for the Midnight Man on the IFC Midnights. Me, Ben, and the uh, mighty Jen from the grave will be here, and the mighty Mary Wilson will also be here. In fact, Mary Wilson will be leading the way. This is her pick, and she picked a hell of a movie because this is a lot of fun. Robert England, Lynn Shay, um, ISC Midnight, Jen from Reviews from the Grave. What more could you want for a night of pure entertainment? Let's see. On Tuesday, the 24th, we have Scarlett Fry will be with us. He is a filmmaker, horror host. He also, like I said, he also is the co-pilot with Madam Cadaver on the Facebook horror group, and so they run that together and encourage people to talk about horror movies. So I've been fortunate. I've been able to post some reviews over there, and yeah, and I really enjoy going to enjoy meeting Scarlett on the 24th. On the 26th, February 26th, it's our last show of the month, and one of my favorite horror tubers and just overall human beings I met on the tube, our good friend Ryan Conway with Real Talk with Ryan. He'll be our guest on Thursday the 26th. And yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun talking to her. Let's see. Uh, let's see where she. I think my friend. I think our guest is pinging me. So let me see what I got. Oh, okay. I thought she had pinged me. Oh, no, no. Okay. Uh, had a feeling that might have happened to me today, but let me okay, let me give me 1 second here. Bing. All right. Ta-da. Oh, I know what I did. Okay. Okay, our guest is going to be here any second here. So Ryan Conway from Real Talk with Ryan will be here with us. He reviews everything that comes out underneath the sun, whether it be Stone Cold Horror. Yesterday he did a review of the new Elvis movie. I guess there's a new documentary about Elvis. He did that, and yeah. So that'll be very, very cool to talk with Ryan. And we're still working on what we're doing in March. I got one I can probably end up booking today, but I won't say anything until it's done. And then we'll bring in a whole new crop of interviews coming our way. And like I said, our guest will be here momentarily. Well, I think what happened was I sent her the link on her old page, and I forgot to send it to her on her new page, and I was supposed to send it to her old page. So, but we'll talk a little bit about that. She told me what happened. So, oh, there she is. Oh, okay. Here, Laura, just follow the link here. I'll put it in the chat here. You can just follow it there. Just click on that right there. That'll take you to the that will take you to the studio. There you go. All right. We're here. Yay.
Hello.
Ta-da.
Yay.
I think what happened was we talked on we did our tests today.
There's a delay.
I think what happened was
there's an echo.
Who do you hear that? Okay, is that coming from on your side? Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, now I can. I know what was happening.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, the YouTube was better with my background.
All okay. Right. Well, I'm glad you're here. Very excited to have you here. This will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I understand. I guess the first thing I found out, I understand you're part Italian. I found that out.
Yes, I am. That is true. That is something I can't really deny.
I think I got that from one of those magazines at the store. I just thought, well, maybe I should mention this to her. But no. Welcome to the show. This is 8 questions, and we're gonna have a lot of fun for the next few minutes. Next hour and 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes. And we're going to talk about acting, and both in front of the camera and behind it. And I, like before you got here, I was commenting how not only you are a working actress, but you're also a acting coach. And I can't think of a time where an acting coach would be more in demand than now, because there's so much out there. I mean, everybody wants to. It's almost like there's more actors than there are that want to act. There's more people that want to act, but there's less people out there that are teaching them how to act, how to get those parts, how to promote themselves, how to pick good material. It used to be And tell me what you think about this, about the phrase. It used to be like they sit there and say, any job's a good job. But that's not so much these days, is it? You got to be a little bit more careful
Yeah.
before you reach in.
Yeah, especially with technology. There's a lot of scams out there. A lot of people pretending to be people they're not.
Yes.
I can't tell you. Much like you get if you're on TikTok or Instagram, you'll get messages from Keanu Reeves or Elon Musk, or I think once I got on LinkedIn, nonetheless, from Lamb Hensworth. They all want to be friends, and yeah, it's all fake. They're all scams.
But those aren't the ones that are dangerous, though. I mean, because anybody can really look at that and go like, yeah, right. I think the ones that are more sedacious, the more treacherous, are the ones that who you don't know, but yet they're out there saying, and you see them a lot on Facebook groups, but they're out there saying that they could teach you. You want to learn how to act, and you want individualized teaching, like acting sessions one-on-one. And
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of, even with me, because I've been on a break for so long, so I haven't done anything recently. So a lot of people will look at me and think, oh, well, she hasn't done anything. So, she probably doesn't know what she's talking about, which isn't true. My break was personal. I chose to take that break because I had to. But when you're looking for a coach, when you're looking for an acting coach, if they're promising you to get cast, they're promising you to get an agent, they're promising stuff, run.
Yes,
Run.
absolutely.
Because in this industry, you can't promise anything.
No.
So nothing is guaranteed. Nothing at all.
As far as the break goes, I mean, I've talked to a lot of actors here on 8
Mm-hmm.
Questions With that have said they have stepped away for a while. It's
Mm-hmm.
not uncommon. It's not uncommon. I've had well-known actors and actresses say that how they step down, step aside because they want to raise a family, they want to raise their child.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of life, like if you want, or maybe just to recharge the mental battery, maybe take off a year, and that's totally fine. I think that's totally fine. And I don't think it should be a stigma at all.
No. Yeah. Well, Patrick, here's the thing too. Acting, having a career in the world of acting, being a career working actor, it's fun. Don't get me, it's a lot of fun. And you'll hear a lot of us say we miss being on set, and we do. We love it. It's our passion. It's, like for me, I can't see myself doing anything else. However, you work a 9-to-5 job, your normal hours are 8 hours. But a normal day on set is 12.
Right. Right. In fact, someone just pinged up our new friend, Beware and Friends. I was promised to be background hat man number 4 in a show, and I said no. Now did that come? Now here we go. Now did that come from an acting coach that they said that they could get you small roles like that? Not you, Laura, but to the gentleman in the chat.
Yeah.
Was that given to you? Was that offer given to you by someone who promised you that? Were you a acting student at the time? I mean, because even background is not just given. Like I can get you to be a background player. That's not, you can't, unless you're part of the production, you can't even do that.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too, Patrick. There's different levels of the industry. So you've got your student filmmakers, then you've got your independent filmmakers, and even an independent filmmaker, there's different levels. There's those that just graduated from college. There's those that are still in high school. There's those that have had a career and want to switch. There's those who are doing it as a hobby. And then there's those who have developed their own production company and they're trying to make something of themselves. And then you've got the production, the bigger budget production companies. So, when you're talking about your student films, whether high school or college or just out, yeah, you could get cast as background from a friend. But when you're talking about a higher production, no, background's not guaranteed. I submit for background more often than I should, but because I miss being on set. And even I don't get, I'm experienced and I'm union and I don't even get cast on everything. It just doesn't work. You have to have certain looks for certain scenes and certain movies, certain projects. So nothing is guaranteed, even for background.
So anybody that comes up to any prospective acting, anyone wants to get into acting. So listen to what Laura's saying. She's sitting there, she's telling us that that even the most experienced, someone walks up to you and says, I can do this for you, and they asking you for money, run like hell.
Oh yeah, no. Okay, so the money thing. Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. This could go into a couple conversations. Do not pay anybody that says that they're an agent. Do not pay anybody that says that they're a manager. Okay, agents and managers don't get paid until you do.
Right.
You don't pay to be background. And there are some things what some independent producers will be and do. And I'm not comfortable with it, but I will tell you, it's a gray line. They will say, I'll let you be in my project if you pay $250 and I'll give you a producer credit.
Oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, yeah.
Pay $500. I'll give you a producer credit. Right, I'll let you have a line.
Yeah, and that's a big thing with independent productions. They do the GoFundMe or the Kickstarters. And
now the GoFundMe and the Kickstarter very different from what I'm saying. I'm talking about the actor paying the producer to be in their project. Right. The Kickstarter and I don't like using GoFundMe. People have been successful with it, but GoFundMe generally has a rule of, your medical is family. It's more personal. Your film crowdfunding is more like Kickstarter, your Indiegogo, platforms like that. Now, those funds will go into pre-production, production, development, post-production, distribution, marketing. And the way that's supposed to work, is that you have a budget and you need money. So let's say you have a backer, you have an investor, and they're going to help you help you with the funds for production. But you have production. So this means, assuming it's independent, because if you're not independent and you're high budget, you're not going to be on Kickstarter, Indiegogo. So I'm talking to your independent production. I'm talking to your independent, those who have other jobs and do this, either they're trying to switch careers or whatnot. So what they're going to do is, say they have backing for the production, they will say, I need, $10,000 for pre-production. So that crowdfunding will be for that. One of the biggest mistakes filmmakers do is they say, I need $200,000, and they'll try to raise that on, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and then they'll get mad because they can't raise $200,000. And that's one of the things that you want to do differently, is you don't want to say I need 200,000. You want to say I need 10,000 and break it down. There's a lot of this. I don't want to say what the movie is about. I don't want to say this. I don't want to say that. You're independent. You need to say as much as possible because you don't have a name for yourself. And that's where, again, a lot of beginners get, worried and scared about people stealing your stuff. Look, if you're worried about somebody stealing your script, go copyright it. Spend that $68, go to copyright.gov and go copyright it. Don't do the poor man thing. It doesn't work. It won't protect you. Registering with WGA, it's only a registration. It only can protect you in so much. Okay. You have to do copyright. As far as independent movies, you've got union and non-union as well. You had said something, and I wanted to remind myself to talk about union. Was there something that I missed answering?
Well,
I feel like I may have.
I know. As far as the Indiegogos, I think God, we haven't talked about this for a minute. But Indiegogos, I think this is the bane for me. I think Indiegogos have a place for sure, and I totally agree with that. The problem I have with it is when production gets so wants that money so much that they'll sell they'll basically sell speaking roles to non-actors. Let's say I come in there and I say, yeah, I could do $1,500 perk because I'm going to play the sheriff. Here you are as an actor with credits and a working actor, and you've won the part of the sheriff through your audition, through your background and through your auditioning. So you got a part. But then they come up to you, they say, listen, by the way, we're going to bump you down to the deputy with 30% less lines because this person over here just donated $1,500 to the project, and he's not an actor. So now did you lose your part, but now you're doing a scene with a scene partner that's not a professional. And and a lot of independent movies, and you see it over and over and over. It's the fact that the critics, and they're actually doing the right thing, people who review movies, they're commenting about how poor the acting is. They'll comment over and over and over, saying it was a decent movie, but the acting was not very good. You could tell that you could tell that it wasn't very, you could see them reading their lines off camera. You could see that because they're not actors.
Right.
So that's a real bane for as far as raising funds for your project. I would never try to sell a part and take away a part from a working actor. I would try to come up with some other kind of perks, like be a location scout, or be that extra in the background hat man, in scene number 4 or what have you. Go for those type of roles. But as a producer, you don't want to, because honestly, why? If I'm sitting here and I've won the part and you gave me the part and I'm preparing for that part, and actors, you got to prepare. And then at the last minute, someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, by the way, we got an extra $1,500, but at the cost of your part." I'm not going to probably want to stick around too long for that.
Yeah. So, when that happens, I advise filmmakers to really don't use the non-experienced actor. It will look. A lot of filmmakers want their film in film festivals, and it will matter if you have better actors or not. And there's lots and lots. There's tons of film festivals. I can't even tell you how many. I tried to see how many once, and it was ridiculous. Now, if you just want to enter a film festival and you don't care, you just want to say, "Oh, I entered this film festival and I won this, and it's a monthly film festival or something that doesn't really matter." Okay, but my experience is that there's some heart to it with every filmmaker. And so if you're really trying to get into these film festivals, I'm not saying go submit to Sundance on your first film, but there are certain film festivals, like if they're IMDb qualified, if they're BAFTA qualified, if they're Academy Award qualified, look for those. Those are the film festivals you want to submit to. And when you submit to those are where you use the actors that actually have the training. And, here's another thing. I think I was going to bring this up earlier. A lot of people have this misconception that actors, all we do are memorize lines and then go act them out. And that's it. We're done. There's so much more to it. I mean, there's training, there's updating your headshots, there's doing reels. When you're not even when you're starting out. I mean, even with me getting back to everything, I mean, headshots can be like $300, and that's a low. I'm lowballing there for a headshot. For $300 headshot, that's a lowballing. You're really looking more at 500.
You mentioned that earlier when we were talking, and I never really got into that. But you mentioned how headshots are a lot more than just pictures. Can you go into depth about that? Why are headshots so important, and what kind of headshot should an actor get? I mean, spot on or to the side? I mean, an action pose? I mean, what's important? What's the best type of picture to use for a headshot?
Okay, so this is actually something I teach in my course. So everybody here tonight is going to get some information that, you know, I usually teach. So a headshot is not just a picture. It's not just you looking pretty. And here's why. You're not submitting to a real people commercial, okay? If you're submitting for that, it could work. But when you're submitting to movies, short films, TVs, now we've got verticals, your headshot needs to represent characters. So, you know, people will say, like somebody will say, I get cast as a therapist a lot. Okay. So when you think about it, you're going to go for a headshot that makes you, oh, that's totally what a therapist looks like. Or, oh yeah, I could see them as a therapist. You know? So like with me, like I'm very quirky. I'm very, you know, I'm not your typical beautiful model, you know, 5'9", size 0 person. So I'm very quirky, and so I'm going to be a little different. Because with somebody like that, they'll probably wear like a blouse, right? And they'll probably just, you know, have their hands a certain way and just kind of look at the camera. And that would work for that kind of person. But for someone like me, it would just... So I might wear that button-down blouse, or button-up, what do they call it, blouse, but I'm going to add some style to it. Like I'll actually put my glasses on, and I'll lean in a little bit, you know, like I'm listening, you know. So you want to do stuff like that. So Patrick, somebody wants to make an independent movie with you. I think that's my buddy.
I think that's my buddy. It's either my buddy Hobbs or it's my buddy Casey.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. But so anyway, so yeah. So when you get a headshot, you want the casting director to go, oh yeah, that they could definitely play this role. And so that's what I mean by it's not just look pretty, you know. So when you have like 3 to 5 headshots, you've got a casual look, you've got a business look, you've got a unique look. I'm sure I'm missing. So you got a specific look. You got a business look.
Now, do you look for, like, if for a headshot? So you're looking for someone. I mean, you could go to a professional photographer, but it's better off to go to a professional photographer who specializes in headshots. I mean,
I highly recommend, because they forget. And I do photography myself. So I've studied photography, and I've studied this, and I've talked to other photographers. And not everybody, but photographers who additionally add headshot photography, they often forget that an actor's headshot and headshot for a business portrait are 2 different things.
Yes.
So you'll get a lot of the same thing. And one of the things when I look for a headshot photographer, I look to see the style. If every single person that they have an example of on their website looks the same, just with a different smile, but the lighting's the same, the posting's the same, it's just, it's a different person with a different smile, I won't use them. I want variety. And as an actor, that's what you're looking for. You want variety.
I think a good photographer who specializes in headshots, it's a little bit of a director, like they're directing you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And definitely do hair and makeup. Because the hair and makeup is different too. You're not going to use the same style of makeup and the same hairstyle as a therapist versus a stay-at-home mom,
right?
Or a teacher.
I never thought about that. I never thought about that.
So it's not just the wardrobe. It's a variety of different things. And in my class, what I teach how to prep for a headshot and how to look for a headshot photographer.
Yeah, I think. Let's see. Pat can totally play a general type that commands the soldiers to go on top of a mountain to save a special iguana that can cure humanity. Yeah, probably could do that. But I still want to just play Joe Burrow. That's all. That's my whole acting dream. I want to play Joe Burrow, the quarterback from the Bengals. So yeah, that's interesting. That's really fascinating. And again, it goes back to what you're saying too. I guess finding a good, accessory like a photographer comes from networking.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just because they say celebrity photographer doesn't mean that they're good.
No.
And
it's like an acting teacher. I'm an acting teacher, but are you really? So
right, yeah,
right. So you want to be careful. You want to be careful before you walk through the doors. Because I want
it's okay to bring somebody with you.
I encourage that.
Girls, women. It's okay to bring someone with you to your photo shoots. And if they say you can't, run.
Yeah. If you can't bring a buddy with you, preferably male, who can take care of themselves. Yeah. We don't get that too much these days. Thank God for that. There were a few cases where a woman would go meet someone for a headshot and not come back. And luckily this doesn't happen. Like I said, is cases like that you don't hear about very much anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll start hearing about it now. A lot more is coming out. Yes. Somebody mentioned about Scientology in Hollywood. Yes, it is a huge thing in Hollywood. In fact, Scientologists will stand outside of Central Casting, which is a huge, well-known background company, and they will pass out their information and tell you that they can help you with acting. And I almost got caught up in that myself, actually.
Oh my gosh, you would have been broke. They take all your money.
Yeah, well, after the second lesson, I was like, bye-bye. Never talk to me again.
Oh gosh, yeah. I didn't eat. Oh, really? That's the thing. That was the Scientology. That's crazy. I didn't hear about that one. I know that down in Los Angeles, I know they have a big building, and
it's
there's
huge.
This guy. Yeah, there's a guy on YouTube that posts videos.
Patrick froze on my end. Patrick, you are frozen. I don't know if it's you or me.
Oh yeah, I am frozen.
Well, you're not anymore. What were you saying?
Yeah, there's a guy. There's a big office in L.A. Plus, they own practically a whole city, and I think it's a Fort Lauderdale. There's a big city in Florida they own practically everything on. But there's also a big building on Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard, and they go out there and they try to get people to go in the building. And there's this one guy, he's by himself, and he goes down there and he breaks them up. He says, "Don't go in there; they're a cult." And the Scientologists are not allowed to engage with him. They keep him away. They say, don't go, don't engage with him. So that's really interesting. I didn't know that.
I
did not know that. So that's
well, there's a lot of actors who belong to Scientology. a lot. You'd be surprised who they are too.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, as far as teaching acting, there are a lot of things. Besides the craft itself, there are a lot of things involved in it that a lot of new people are just. They always go in with their eyes this big. Stars in their eyes, and they don't really. When someone comes up there and offers them some advice, or if you hear, like, hey, I know there's a really good acting teacher. Laura LaMonaco, she's a great teacher. I highly recommend you go over there. I went through a class. It's very well done. It's very professional. It's all about networking, and networking not only to advance, but also networking for safety. And I think really it's what we've been talking about mostly today is about the safety side of it. And I'm good with that because I think it needs to be talked about a little bit more. So let's say you get your headshot. You get your headshot, and that does us. How many pictures? How many pictures do you generally get from a photographer?
So there's just take packages. So there's packages. Now remember I said 300 is a low ball. So you're really looking at more like 500. That can usually cover about 3 headshots. So you got 3 different looks. It does not cover hair and makeup, and sometimes the photographer will throw in like 1 or 2 free edits. So you're really looking at more like $700.
Wow. Now, how long does a headshot last?
Until you change.
So
if you change your color, if you gain weight, if you lose weight, hair color changes, anything changes about your face, you need to update.
So once you get that headshot, you really got to maintain that look for at least a year. You don't want to go. Wow.
Yeah, they suggest to try to get headshots every 6 months, but a year is okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say 6 months. That's expensive.
That's right. We were talking earlier, and I said, people have commented that actors make a lot of money. They don't understand how much we spend before we get to that point.
Right. Definitely. Hopefully you get discovered by a manager, and they'll be able to get you a good headshot and give it to you for get it for a discount, because this guy is bringing this photographer business. He might be inclined not to.
Stop. Nope. Do not. No. Managers and agents can recommend or refer, but the minute an agent or a manager says use this photographer, it's a red flag.
Oh, because they got the money, they got the thing. Okay. Wow, that's sort of shady. So they sort of get the kickback from that, right? Here, I got a guy you can use. Let's see. See. I know who this. I know. Hobbs, I know you so well. So our good friend Hobbs is sitting there saying, I have a question, Laura. Is Tom Cruise really that short? Such a Hobbs question.
Yeah. I've never met him in real life, but I do know people who have.
Yeah.
A lot of us actors aren't. You'd be surprised how tall or how short an actor is in real life.
Yeah. For Tom Cruise, Tom Cruise has always played. You never really thought about anything about Tom Cruise's height until he did a movie based on a character who, like, Tom Cruise is like 5'9", 170, and the character he's playing in the book is like 6'5", 250. And it's the only time I've ever seen Tom Cruise get totally shagged on because of his, he's not character accurate. And people knew it. They just couldn't turn away from it because the character is like so obvious. He's not the size of the character. And it's the only time I ever saw him, like, I mean, a lot of people wouldn't saw the movie, but a lot of people, they came out and they're going like, yeah, that's not working for me. Let's see.
Are you thinking, what movie are you thinking of?
Jack Reacher. He did Jack Reacher and then Don't Look Back, and both movies. I mean, I looked at it like I looked at it as like, you know what? I can swallow that because I'm just glad the movie got made. I'm glad to see the character reach the big screen. So I didn't care. Even though I read all the books, I didn't care. After the second one, though, even fans like myself who really like the character, and I like Tom Cruise. It's like you just can't do another one. You just you're 5'9", you're not carrying it off. You can't pull it off. And
well,
so
5'9" is not that short either. So.
Yeah, 5'9" versus 6'5", 170 versus 250. It's like it's an obvious, it's like it's not accurate. And so that's when they went with Alan. They went with Alan Ritchson, and he's a lot more accurate.
I think I don't know. If people would pay more attention to the actor and their skills and less about, oh, well, it wasn't exactly like the book, or it wasn't exactly this and exactly that.
Well,
they might have more enjoyment.
They did for the first two movies. Both those movies did okay. They didn't do gangbusters, but they both made money, and fans went and saw them. But it's like it's like anything else. It's like if you can get somebody. Otherwise, why don't we get someone who's like like a James Bond? We grab somebody off the street. He's five. How come James Bond can't be a girl? It's just.
They can be. They can be. You just need those filmmakers that have those open minds.
Yeah, but they might turn around and say, well, yeah, but James Bond is. They have everybody has a they go in there and they have expectations of going inside to watch a movie.
Yeah.
And there's some like that. I'm like, okay, I mean, people here, they know this. I'm like this with a superhero movie. It's called Guardians of the Galaxy. I just can't. I just can't watch that because it's horrible. It's not anywhere accurate. And it's like, everybody else doesn't care what someone like me thinks. They're just glad to have it on the screen. And I'm like, for me, I'm like that too. I'm just glad to see it on the screen. I know I don't sit there and dwell on if that's accurate or not, but everybody has their limitations. It's like I can stretch my belief system a little bit, but not like that. But then again, a good actor, like look at Tom Cruise. He's a good enough actor that he pulled it off not once, but twice. He pulled it off twice. And, and it does say a lot to his skill that he was able to do that. But let's talk, as far as you go, have you been in that situation? And how do you teach this?
In what situation?
Where an actor will walk in there and someone like, let's say to play Jack Reacher, or to play a certain part, a therapist part. How do you prepare them? How do you tell your students? How do you get them to get into that mindset to where they're playing a character like that? Maybe they don't fit the physical condition. We want someone who's 5'9", who has red hair, who's left-handed. And who's not afraid to curse. Okay, well, I'm not 5'9", I'm 5'7". Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm slightly off exactly what the character type is.
So you just.
But I still.
Yeah. So you just you mentioned a few different categories. So you mentioned, so I could talk to you about casting, and I could talk to you about technique, and I can talk to you about mindset, all with just what you asked.
Okay, let's talk.
So as far as let's see, as far as technique, what you're describing is it could be considered method acting or the Meisner technique, which kind of correlates with each other. And as I mentioned earlier, a friend of mine and I were talking about this earlier. But so if you've never been a therapist, there's a couple ways to go about it. Start acting like one. Like in your real life. Like, when your friend calls you with a problem, instead of solving it, or be like, oh, I can't believe your boyfriend did that, blah, blah. Sit back and listen. And don't give them an answer. and see how that sits with you, not being able to give a response. And then, you also want to read the script. It's very important to read your script. And yes, oftentimes we don't get the full script for our auditions, but you want to read as much as you can. So even if you get 3 pages and there's stuff crossed out, read it. There's information in that will give you information for the lines that you're supposed to use in your audition. Again, I'll go back to being a therapist, how I would teach it. I mean, that's one of the things I would say. Therapists, unless you're doing a horror movie and the therapist is a killer.
Been movies like that.
Therapists tend to be very empathetic. They tend to be active listeners. They're not problem solvers. They're not someone who gives solutions, but someone who helps you find a solution for yourself. So that alone, if you've never been to therapy or you've only seen therapy in movies, that alone would be something you'd have to work on as an actor, to not just read the lines as a therapist, but to sit with those feelings, sit with people saying those lines to you and not responding. So I would suggest to do exactly that. In fact, I could tell you, and I'm so proud of her. I coached this 14-year-old who was trying to get into a local performing arts school. And it wasn't just the auditioning, but it was a theater school, so she had to audition, and she was a little shy. She was kind of scared about the acting part. She had the sports down, she had the academics down. So 5 lessons with her, and she went from shy and not sure she could memorize the lines to completely in character. She was auditioning a monologue from the movie Mean Girls, and she wanted to play Regina. Now, I'm going to mention race here, and there's a reason for it. So, Regina in Mean Girls in the movie is played by a white girl, a white teenager. The girl I coached was black. I coached her to use her race because Regina is a bitch. Regina in the movie is a bitch. There's like hidden things with her, and we went over that. So I helped her, I told her, use that. And you're 13, you're 14 years old. You've got attitude with your parents. What teenager doesn't have attitude with your parents? Exactly. Use it. Stop trying to act and stop trying to find that, oh, I have to be mean. Okay, this is how I can do it. No, you already know how to be mean. So take that mean line and do it as if you're talking to your mother who's annoying the crap out of you.
Why do you think that happens? Why is that such a training? Why is that such a issue, Laura?
Which thing?
Like the race thing. They did Ariel. They made her into a black girl, and people just, to me, it's like, shouldn't the part go to the best artist? I mean,
yeah. Well, we have racists because we have racists. That's why it's an issue, because racists exist.
I mean, to me, it's like, look, I can't coach 5'9" into 6'5". I can't do it, but I could coach a black girl into playing Ariel. That I can do. That and the audience should be able to go mermaid. For it. Right. I was using that as the example.
I'm saying, but my thing is, like, people get their panties all twisted. It's a mermaid. It has no race.
Right.
It's a half human, half fish. It doesn't exist. So what if you grew up with a white Ariel? Why do you care so much? Stop projecting your issues onto other people.
Yeah, and I because I think, to me, it's like, I I was just watching people have a cow over, and we're like, who gives a rat's ass? It's fantasy. It's like you're supposed to go there and escape, to like get into that world. But here we go. We're and it does seem like Hollywood has learned its lesson in that respect. Whereas before they would never.
It still has a long ways to go.
They're working on it.
It still has a long ways to go.
They wouldn't necessarily just like out of hand. It's like, okay, we're going to dismiss all the minorities. Now they embrace it. Now it's like, okay, now we don't want the best white person. We don't want the best black person. We just want the best creative person. We want the one that fits the part.
Right.
That's really long overdue, but we are seeing it more and more. And do you find actors that are just starting out, do you find them more optimistic? Because it's a rough industry. But do you find them more confident, more like I can go out for an audition and it won't be necessarily judged on the color of my skin. It'll be on the talent of my acting. Yeah. Do you see that happening more and more?
No, especially right now. I'm going to try not to get into, the P word, but it's like people have been given permission to show the racism. And unfortunately it's happening more and more. Now Hollywood, we say Hollywood, but movies are made everywhere. They're produced in Texas. They're produced in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Canada. Hollywood movies are not just Hollywood anymore. And in fact, some trivia for those who may not have known this. Movies did not start in California. They started in Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So, in case
they didn't move out to Hollywood until a couple of gentlemen got off a train and said that California had beautiful weather all year round.
Yes. Well, yeah. It had to do with the lighting and the weather and whatnot. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned New York. You're based in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. What a wonder to me. I just feel like I always felt like, well, New York may not have the real estate like California. They have studios everywhere. New York might be sort of smaller per se, but I don't ever find it really smaller per se in the terms of creatives. I mean, there might be a million actors in California. There's a million actors in New York.
There's a million actors in the world. Yeah. Everybody wants to be an actor. Not everybody, but
how did you get your start? I mean, were you born and raised in New Jersey?
I was. I was born and raised in a very, very small town on the west side of northern Jersey. So, and if you go to my IMDb, I think I still have it up. At one point I had it on my IMDb profile on how I got started, but it's kind of funny because I didn't really know, like I knew there were people on TV, but I didn't know that what they were doing was a job. Like it just didn't connect as a child with me. Like I just figured I was watching a story, but I just didn't know it. And I mean, I was the kid that had a very low self-confidence. There was a lot of stuff in my childhood that went on. And so I had very low self-confidence, very low self-esteem. And I put I submitted to Barbizon.
I remember that.
Modeling and acting school. And back then it wasn't really what it is today. Back then they taught you mostly modeling, but it was also more etiquette, how to do your makeup. Here, this is how you do a runway walk. I was so sure I was never going to be a runway model, but I didn't know it at the time.
But you know what, though? I mean, I remember Barbizon and also Cassavetes. They used to be the acting school. Mm. I remember, or was it Casablancas or what else?
Oh, I remember John Casablanca.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I remember those at first, and always going like, "Oh, come on, really?" But you know what? Looking back at them, they did do a service.
Well,
because they got you to believe that you could be something that you maybe, you know, like everybody else will tell you no. But with Barbizon, they would, maybe they took a little bit of money for it, but
They took a lot of money.
but what they give you though, they have you believing that you can do it, and you know that's a really good thing to have.
Yeah, I mean, so it is. I mean, for me, you know, I went back in the let's just say the 90s. We'll just say, we'll just put it that way. I don't really want to age myself too much.
No problem.
But that's what it did mostly. It helped me kind of with confidence, you know, like you said, it helped me believe I could do something. So that alone helped my self-esteem and my confidence. But I really wanted to do was the acting, which I didn't know it until this one class. What happened was they put all of the classes together on a Saturday to do a mock commercial. I'll never forget it either. I mean, this is like decades later, and I still remember where I sat, what the room looked like. I still remember them using these big post boards for the cue cards. And I went up and did the mock commercial. And, you know, prior to that, people would clap, you know, and the instructors were like, yeah, that's nice. Or they would give feedback. When I did it, the instructors were like shocked. And I had like the whole room, like I got the loudest clapping, and I was just like, what did I do? I was like, okay, this is nice, but what did I do? And I found out later, after that class, the first things the instructors did was they told my mom, they said, go get her an agent right now. They told her immediately, they said, go get her an agent. They saw that talent. And I never got an agent as a child, but I did audition for the local community theater after finding out I had some kind of acting talent. And I was cast my first audition.
I love community theater. I love it. I love what it does. You know, and I've, you know, again, my buddy Hobbs, he's always asked that question about, you know, how does he get into acting? You know, he always, because everybody has a different opinion about it. How do you get your start?
Well,
but overall, the best answer that I've ever thought of, like, you know, to me, it was the same thing, because, you know, I did live music for 10 years, and to me, it's like, you know, it's like, how do you get your start? Well, what you do is you grab the guitar, you go and you find yourself a coffee shop, and you go ahead and you sit down and you start singing. You know, you just get out there and start doing it.
Yeah.
With acting, I've always said community theater is the best starting. It's the best jump off point.
It is. And there is a difference between theater, even professional and community, versus TV and film. But you're absolutely right. I tell people the same thing. You want to get into acting, go audition for your local community theater and get into background.
Yeah. And if you and get in any way you can, you know, and that means, you know, like
if student films,
right? Well, I was going to say community. I mean, just if you can't, you know, if you get in there and you're a little nervous or what have you, ask to sell tickets, ask to seat people, clean up the venue afterwards.
Become crew.
Become, you know, immerse yourself into the community, into acting, and then sooner or later, your confidence will, you know, it'll rise. And your skill level will rise. You're watching other people. What a great! I mean, to me, it's like that's just a great way to get your start. Get your start.
Yeah, and networking is great. You know, if you're not sure what to do, you know, like Patrick's saying, you know, sell tickets, or, you know, learn to assist with soundboard, lighting, directing, do stage management, film. Great fact, I'm producing a short film next month, and we need PAs, we need background. So if you live in New Jersey or New York, you know, definitely email me, and I can see if I can get you on set. It's not paid because it is a short, and this is something that we're doing real fast. Generally, I pay people in my projects, but sometimes I have projects that are unpaid. Now, even though this is unpaid, you will get fed.
Right.
And I'm doing a lot of the behind the scenes. So I'm doing a lot of behind the scenes. So because you're not being paid, we're not going to have people come sit for 8 hours.
Right.
I'm going to tell you exactly when you're needed. I'm going to give you an estimate of how long you'll be needed, so you can come, do your thing, and leave.
Right. And I think a lot of artists will really respect that and appreciate that, because that is something you just can't pay enough for, is time. Like,
well, time is money.
Yeah. Right.
Until you become a producer yourself, you don't really understand that. And then you, as a producer, you're like, oh, time really is money. So, as an actor, when they say, look, there's a saying in the industry, if you're on time, you're late.
Yes, I've heard that.
And then there's another saying, hurry up and wait.
Right. Heard that one too.
So for those of you that don't know what those mean, so if you're on time, you're late. What that basically means, if your call time is 6 a.m., your ass better be there by 5:30.
Yeah.
Not 5:45, not 5:50, not 5:55, 5:30.
Yeah.
And the reason,
you got to get it. Yeah. Plus, because and actually they're not harsh on your mellow. Like by telling you to be there, they're giving. It's actually a kindness for them to sit there and say, if I tell you 5, be here, or 6, like be here at 5:30, be here at 5:20, 5:20, because that way you get yourself settled in. You're not rushing around. You can do your wardrobe and makeup, and you can get ready. You can get ready and get mentally.
That's basically why you have to be there early. And this goes for background as much as any other role. Especially background, because background can be as small as 10 background actors for the day, and it could be as many as 500. I'm not kidding. I have been on sets where there's like 100 to 500 background like in one day. So if you think about 500 background trying to get hair and makeup, and it's not even that they have to get it done, but you have to get it approved, and you have to get your wardrobe approved. So you're still in a line.
Right.
So when you're there at 5:30 and nobody else is there, here's what happens. You go and you sit and you wait. And they say, are you background? Say yes. They say, okay. They will take you first to go get your hair and makeup done or approved. And once it is, you can go back down and sit. You can go have your breakfast or whatever. And now you don't have to worry about hurrying things up. Production knows you're done, and that looks good on production side too, because that means you'll get called back. So if
when you were what did you start learning this as an actor yourself? You started your acting career when you were in a teen. What was the progression like for you? When did you start picking up?
Very slow. Very slow.
But you must have started picking up things as for every project that you did. What were some of the best advice that you got as a teen, as a young actor that's just starting out? What was some of the advice that was given to you that you impart to your students today?
You're going to be shocked at my answer. The answer is, I never got any advice. I had to learn by making mistakes.
Wow.
Which is why I teach what I teach, because I don't want other people to go through the same thing. So when I was like in LA and I was on a show on a regular basis, and I thought it was working like a regular job. So I thought to show up 5 or 10 minutes before my call time. And I saw the behavior towards me were different. And then later, much later, I found out, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, and nobody told me.
Wow.
And it's because unfortunately, too many actors are so afraid of competition that they don't support each other. And that's where a lot of actors go wrong. Actors need to support other actors instead of being so worried about competing.
Yeah, I love that because I watched a movie once. My Zach Braff question, And in this movie, he plays an actor and going out for a part, and there's another actor in the same room, and the other actor turns to him and says, they're both auditioning for the same role, and he turns around to Zach Braff's character and he asks, "Can you help me? Can you help me? I'm trying to grasp this character. What do you think? Can you help me out here a little bit?" And Zach Braff's character looks at it for a second and says, "Sure, why not?" And he gets over there and he helps the actor out who ends up winning the role. And to me, I've always thought, wow, would that happen in real life? And would you help out another actor that was competing for the same role you are? Would you go over there, run lines with them, or maybe help them, or discover the character? Yeah,
absolutely.
That's actually the answer I get about 95% of the time.
Yeah,
they say absolutely, I would help.
And there's greedy reasons to help, and then there's other non-greedy reasons to help. I usually do it for the non-greedy reasons. I just like to help people. I mean, that's why I teach and coach, because I like to help people. But other people might do it because they're like, well, if I help you and you get the role, then you can get me on the show. So you have to be careful of that too.
So I guess it's a little bit mercenary. I have not heard about too many people building to. I do believe you're just a handful. I've never really heard anybody sit there and say they didn't really get any help. That's sort of sad. But is that one of the motivations of why you got into teaching? When did you know you wanted to teach actors? I mean, when did you realize that, what, I want to give back? I've taken from the industry. Now I want to get back to it.
Yeah. Well, I've always had that teaching mentality. It's funny. Everybody, when I was growing up, everybody told me I should be a teacher. That's what I was put into me was, you should teach. You're so good with kids. You should teach. I just didn't want to teach in schools. I wanted to act. But then recently, this is fairly recent. It's only, well, no, I guess not, because I did do a group in 2016. But I had moved back to the area and I was like, oh, there's no local acting classes. There's gotta be a need for that on some level. So in 2016, I did a summer class with adults. And then I moved to a different county, which is where I am now. And I was like, okay, I need to get back on set, but I'm not ready yet. What can I do? So then I was like, wait a minute. Why am I not teaching? I know how to do it. I'm good at it. And that way I can still talk about what I love, my passion, the arts. And I can provide.
And you're acting it too. And you're acting even as you're teaching, you're still acting. So you're keeping your own skills sharp. Yeah, smart.
Yeah. And I'm providing information. And I decided to do something a little different, which I'm still trying to figure out how to get it out there. But with the classes that I'm trying to offer, they're a little unique because they're not your acting techniques. It's not, this is how you do a self-tape audition. This is how you audition on camera. This is how you do this technique, or this is how you would do a scene study. Mine, I put the business of the industry first. So I give you the information of what you need to know, what you need to understand, so you're not what to expect, so that you're not shocked when you're going, oh, I was told I have to get a headshot. And then I got, I hired my cousin who does photography and now I can't get cast anything, or I can't get past free work. I stop all of that. Or, I've heard a lot of actors say, I got my headshot. I paid, $300 and I don't like it. It's not getting anything. Well, that's because you don't know what a headshot is. Somebody told you in order to act, you have to get a headshot and then just submit. There's more to it than that.
Yeah, a lot more to it.
Yeah, and then I wanted to bring up this other thing for actors too, is a lot of people think like Actors Access, casting networks, they're pay to play. So what pay to play is not your websites. Pay to play is when a company will advertise that they're bringing in a director or somebody from an agency, and they will have a lesson with you or a scene study, but you have to pay $50 to $100 to be in that class. That's what pay to play is.
I always thought pay to play was like, most of the, I mean, I understand you have to pay in order to take acting classes. I understand
yes.
you have to, there is some money you have to pay out for. I get that. I don't agree with paying to play to get a book in booking a part. You should never pay to book a part.
No, do not do that. Don't pay an agent. Don't pay to be repped by an agent. Don't pay to be repped by management. Don't pay to get cast. Don't pay to audition for a director. Don't pay to audition for casting. Now, what you pay for are training classes, training coaches, headshots. If you hire to somebody for editing your reel, I feel like I'm missing something else. Oh, and then the casting websites. And the legit casting websites are Actors Access, Casting Networks, Casting Frontiers, and Backstage for the East Coast.
So those are the legitimate ones that to go there to put your resume up there. I mean, you have it on your own personal website. I've noticed that you have background or acting. You have I want to say it right, not just say it. Your website has I think it is Access.
Yeah, I don't think I have it on my website though. I just put my resume.
Okay, maybe that's it.
My cat is saying hello.
Oh, we're huge cat guys here.
That's number 2, cat number 2.
That's what we call stealing scene right there, ladies and gentlemen. So I pick up terms here and there. So when you got back from your hiatus, I know you mentioned before it had been a little while. It wasn't like you took a 2-week vacation. You were away for a little while.
Yeah.
What has changed the most since you've gotten your SAG after card? What are some of the things that you've noticed have changed during the time where until you came back? Like when you took the time off until you came back. What are some of the things that you noticed? Yeah. Talk a little bit about that.
Much so.
How do you adjust to that?
So I went on break and then COVID happened. So there was no self-taping, or if it was very little self-taping auditions. It was all in person. And then when I came back, I only came back, basically this year. And we're only in February. So I've only been back a month or so. But yeah, there's that. There's the self-taping that has changed. There's the AI thing that has changed. Pay rates have changed.
Hopefully for the better.
Yeah, they have. Thanks to the union. Yeah, little one is wanting to steal the show. I don't know if you guys can see him, but she is like right. Yeah, can you like move, please, Kat? Thank you.
Stealing scene.
Yeah. Well, this cat was actually in a movie. If you watch the short film Dawn's Currency, which is on my production company page, you'll see a cat, and it was that one.
We talked to an actress whose cat actually had an IMDb page.
Yeah. Animals can have IMDb.
Yeah, I thought that was the cutest thing ever. It's like,
oh yeah. Well, I mean, they have animal trainers for reasons, because animals go on movies and shows. But back to what has changed. AI is new. For me, what's been interesting, and I had noticed this because I had tried to come back a little at the end of last year, but then I was like, nah, okay, not quite as ready as I thought. For me personally, I'm in a completely different age bracket. So I had to actually go into all of my profiles and change my age range, because when I was acting before, I could play, 25, 30. I could play 30 to 35. I can't play that anymore. So
now before, that would be considered, like the Doom, the sound of Doom, but it does seem like older actors, and including actresses, really actresses, that's no longer a death knell to a career.
No, it's really not.
Now, yeah. I mean, there's so many great actresses out there of all ages, just taking care of business.
Yeah, and I really wish the newer filmmakers and the writers out there would understand this, because if I see, and it's not too often, I'll tell you one of the funniest casting breakdowns that I saw. They were looking for a grandma, age 25.
Was this set down in the South? Oh, sorry, I just slipped out.
I'm like, come on, guys. I mean, do you understand, for someone to be a grandmother at the age of 25?
It probably happens to West Virginia.
Their child, you're so bad. Their child would have had to have a kid at like 10. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but let's be realistic on,
Right.
So when you're writing these breakdowns, be realistic. Grandmas are 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Moms are 30, 40, 25, 30, 40. I can always tell it's a new person with a breakdown when I see must be very attractive, 23 years old. Really?
Yeah, and that's a new casting director, are you saying? Someone who really doesn't understand the realities of it?
Well, no, usually it's for like student films or beginning filmmakers who will do the breakdowns themselves.
Right.
They don't have casting.
They haven't learned that it's okay. You cast the part, not the look. You cast the character, not the look. Yeah, this is the character. This is who, this is.
I mean, the sad thing is, sex sells, looks appeal. So filmmakers, especially the male.
You know what's funny? I don't mean to interrupt you, Laura, but I don't necessarily feel that anymore. I feel now it's more about. I think what really sells is.
I'm not. Well, I wasn't finished. What I was saying is, sex sells, looks appeal. So what happens is newer filmmakers tend to go based off of that and that alone, whether it's new or not, or whether it's old or not. And they're like, oh, I'm going to be a filmmaker and work with these beautiful women. That's not the reason to be a filmmaker, but it's a reason a lot of people become filmmakers. Not a lot, but it's there.
Sure. I mean, just look at the Epstein file, kids. So you're right. Now, the one thing I think that has changed, a lot, from the actors of today's generation versus yesterday's generation, and including the filmmakers, it's the fact that now, you actually, a lot of people will book necessarily for the brand, or we're going to talk about how to promote yourself in today's world.
Oh yes.
You just can't get by with just looks anymore. I'm stunning. I'm beautiful. I have big boobs. I have bulging muscles. That might have worked, in the 90s or the 80s, but in today's world, that's just a byproduct.
Well, yeah, if you're using that stuff, what you're doing is typecasting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to typecast. Well, if you're just starting out, get typecast. You can figure out how to get uncast that type later. You can figure out, what's the word? You can figure out how to undo the typecasting later. But if you're looking for work and you have that, you look like a bodybuilder, use it to your advantage.
But don't you think that it's more social networking, social media, more than just pure looks that drives you getting?
Well, there definitely is a thing where once you've made the decision to be an actor, you have to be very careful with what you post on social media.
Yes.
You have to be very careful.
Really, because isn't that the truth?
They will tell you, we look at your social media. And now, they didn't originally look at the social media because they wanted to see your personality. They originally did it because people don't read. I'll give you a couple examples. You'll get an NDA, and you're not allowed to post on social media. You're not allowed to take pictures while you're on set. You can't post those pictures, even if it's just you and a friend hanging out. If there's anything about the holding area, the set design, anybody might be in the background, you can't post that stuff on social media. So you sign an NDA. And they have people now. I'm not even joking. This is their literal job, is to go and look on everybody's social media that is on that production set to see if they're posting anything from the production. And if they find you are, you're done.
You're done. Yeah.
You're done. You're fired. And yes, that has happened. I know for a fact it's happened to a couple people where they didn't read the NDA, and one person actually got fired because they took a picture of the actual NDA.
Yeah, of course they would. Well, yeah, like, why wouldn't
literally they? Reading, don't post this on social media. So you're taking a picture of people have to read. People have to read.
Even on a show like this, I'm very aware of that. And a lot of times, like when I asked you before, like there's any special projects you want to talk about, and I'll ask that question for everybody. And it's like, they'll get on here, and some people will be really happy about a big project, and I'll tell them as well, let's, I don't really want to talk about it unless it's on the IMDb. If it's on your IMDb page, then it's out there and they've approved it, then we could talk a little bit about it. But if I don't see it myself, if I don't see the project on IMDb, I don't talk about it, and I don't let them talk about it. I'll sit there and say, listen, we'll save that for a future show, because yes, you're right, the NDA is very legitimate, and people have lost jobs because of posting pictures. And see, those are all things right now, like if you go to college, they'll give you Shakespeare,
if even that.
Right. They'll learn Shakespeare. What they don't teach you is this part, navigating the NDA, navigating a headshot, navigating, working with
resume formatting.
Right. See, people don't teach what you're teaching. They don't get that in college.
No.
They don't get what you're teaching. So this is, to me, it's like not only you teaching them technique, but you're teaching them how to navigate the world of acting, because there's a lot of curves out there, and a lot of sharp drop offs. So I think acting coaches today probably more important than ever in that respect, because you're teaching them not only to hone their craft, but to also be smart about it. And I think it's tremendous what you're doing. And you're giving back. I think it really, really is it's a powerful thing. And I do hope that I hope people find you.
Yes, so do I. I mean, I know I was, for my class, it's kind of, people were saying it's expensive, but look here, I'm saving you money. Yes. I'm saving you money because, like I said, even if I lowball it for $300 a headshot, okay, and then you're paying $300 for a headshot, $200 for hair and makeup, then you've got another couple dollars for, when I say couple, I mean like $25 for editing for one picture. I mean, that's like 3, 4, 5, we'll say $550.
And a headshot won't necessarily get you a job. It's really it comes down to it. It still relies on your talent. You still you can have a great looking headshot. I've seen those, but just because I see a really good looking headshot, I don't immediately think, oh my gosh, that's the next Myrna Loy.
Right. Yeah.
That's right. So I said Myrna Loy. It's not to say it's not the next Myrna Loy. It's like it's great that you look great, but can you bring the freight? Can you act? Right. It's like you have the look, but do you have the skill? So
and skill is important. Yes. It's as important as I could do a whole thing on like filmmaking itself with what's important there. A lot of filmmakers will go, I got a camera, I got a script, let's go make a film. Well, I mean, yeah, you can, but it only goes so far. You actually need audio, you actually need lighting, you actually need to feed your actors and your crew. If you're not paying them, you have to compensate them in some way.
Yeah, I still see that on Facebook. For a while there, I thought that was going to go away, but they're still out there. You go to casting groups and you'll see they're sitting there saying, "Well, I need actors," and someone will sit there and say, "What's the pay?" And the director will sit there and say, "Well, you'll get a credit. You'll get IMDb credit." It's like, I can't eat off that. I can't drive my car off that.
Yeah.
Here you are. You want your location's 40 miles away from me. I can't IMDb that. I would love to audition. I could audition. I can send you a self audition, no problem. But if you want me to come work, it's an 80-mile round trip. Yeah, I probably would need a tank of gas out of that. And a good director, to me, it's like that's one of the first things as a director you learn is not the camera, not the actors, how to build a freaking budget.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love when people tell me that they make no budget movies. No, you have a budget. You just didn't buy that stuff right now. And if you bought food, you have a budget. If you bought props, you have a budget. If you printed out scripts, you needed a budget. That's a budget. All that stuff are budgets. It's funny. The thing is with me, because I'm just coming back, so I don't have anything recent. So I'm struggling because I don't look the same as I used to. And I don't have anything updated right now.
Yeah, but it's like the duck in water. I mean, you got thrown into the pond after a few months, for a couple of years, but you haven't forgotten your skill set.
It doesn't mean I'm rusty. I need to definitely train, but I train even when I'm working. I train. Actors are always training. But my point, what I was going to say is, hold on. What I was going to say
Dwayne Johnson is now feeling the typecast dilemma. And his movies are failing now. You know what though? I will give this to Dwayne Johnson. I will give him credit in the fact that he's always had his career has always been safe. Everything that he's done has been super safe. It's The Rock. It's Jumanji and this stuff. When he did the Smashing Machine, that's the first time Dwayne Johnson actually acted. He had to act. He couldn't get by on just being The Rock. He had to go in there and he had to become an actor. And from everything I've seen from that, they say it's not him that was wrong with the movie. Where he couldn't act. No one said that Dwayne Johnson can't act. No. It was just time for him to stretch his wings. He had to take flight. And
and it's kind of like that question, are actors born with that talent, or is it something that you learn how to do? And I think it's yeah, I do too. I think it's a mixture of both, because I mean, what I just told you a little bit ago about my story is a perfect example. I had no idea what I was doing, but apparently I did it very well.
and
so
still,
I ran with
and
it.
still doing it very well.
Thank you.
Now, my last question for you is, my last question to you is, what is your next step? I mean, where do you see yourself going from here? Like, what are some of the things that you're going to do to try to get yourself back into the eyes of casting directors?
Okay, so right now, I am producing the short, like I said, and I'm going to cast myself as one of the paramedics. It won't be I don't be a one-liner, but at least it'll be recent, and I can use that as part of my reel. And then also, it's kind of funny. This wasn't planned, and honestly, when you and I spoke earlier, I had forgotten all about this. There's a scene in the movie that we're shooting where the grandma is watching TV. Well, for copyright and trademark, we can't just put something on. Okay, so my friend and I are going to actually create a scene of a soap opera, and we'll play that in the
on
back.
the TV. Oh, that's smart. That's
it's
clever.
like a script inside a script.
Right.
Yeah. And then some of the other things I've been planning on doing this, but we could talk about this for a moment too, but I haven't had time. But what I'm hoping to do is in the near future is record myself going through a monologue or a scene and showing how I start out, very raw, how I read it, how I start working on the lines, and then kind of uploading, from the raw to the finished product.
Okay.
As well as, sometimes I'll just finish the product and I'll just say, here's a monologue, or here's a scene that I did, and just start uploading them. I definitely need an agent again. I am in that point where I need an agent. So that is one of my next steps, is looking for an agent.
Now, your former agent, what happens when you separate from your former agent? Do they just forget about you, or will they?
No, you have to, you dissolve the relationship. But I mean, in that case, I was in California and I moved to New Jersey, and they were in Nevada, and they only worked with California, Nevada actors.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Right. Okay. Well, I'm sure. Yeah, I can understand that.
So, yeah. I mean, I would love to have an agent that's bi-coastal, but if, the one that decides to rep me is only East Coast, and we have the chemistry, then I'll go with them, but then I'll also look for somebody that's out West and down south. And that's the other thing, people don't realize with actors, I'm right here and I'm starting out in New York, but I could get cast in Georgia. I could get cast in Tennessee or Texas. I could get, and yeah, sure, they might, production will pay for the chemistry test or to fly me out to perform, but they're not paying for my food. They're not paying, for everything else.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. It can definitely be a bit expensive, but you know what? Once you get that first paying job underneath your belt, and your face is back out there, I'm sure they'll come looking for you. All right, we have hit our mark. We have hit our mark. We've actually kept you here longer than we normally go, but I have such a good time talking with you. You do have a new YouTube channel up. I put the link up there in the top of the chat, so you guys can go up there and visit Laura and subscribe to her channel.
Absolutely. I don't have too much there, but I will be doing stuff soon.
Right. Everything has to start somewhere. So there's and social media again. It's a really powerful tool when used right. Um, you and I actually met. You and I actually met on TikTok.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
you're one
I
of
am
the
on
first
TikTok.
artists. Yes, you're one of the first artists I've reached out to on TikTok,
Oh, well, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
So I had a great time. I had a great time talking with you. Let's see, the chat here is saying
They don't want us to end it.
yeah, that's my friend Hobbs. It's either my friend Hobbs or my friend Casey. Um, Hobbs. I always said this about my buddy. I always said this about Hobbs. I think Hobbs would be a great interviewer. I've seen him interview before, and he's got the chops for it. He's really good. There's a lot of people that are really good at doing that. My friend Eric is here. He's a terrific interviewer as well. In fact, I will probably be asked. Always saying, "Welcome to the channel." I hope that he will go ahead and take advantage of the fact that all your social media is down here, and
yes,
hopefully,
please do and share. I need those follows. I'm going to try to monetize on TikTok and YouTube eventually at some point.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's that. You definitely can do both. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it tonight, and I do thank you very much for your time.
Yes.
And
thank you.
yeah, and we learned the most important thing is that you're part Italian.
Yes. Well, and some would say I'm part Italian and part Sicilian.
I'm me. I'm just all pizza. All right, boys and girls, that's gonna be it for us. But tomorrow, if you're not doing anything tomorrow night, head on over to Hey Internet. It's Eric's. He'll be talking with Madman Pondo tomorrow night. A terrific guy, really nice guy. And he just does some crazy ass shit. But thank you so much, guys, for your support. I appreciate it so much.
Yes, thank you.
Back here. We'll be back here on Sunday for RetroTube at 6 p.m. We're talking a little bit of Scrubs, and then on Sunday night at 8 o'clock we'll be doing the ISC Midnighters with myself, Mighty Mary Wilson, Jen Reviews from the Grave, and Cadaver Club, Ben from the Cadaver Club, and that will be at 8 o'clock. Midnight Man. So come out and hang out with us on Sunday night. Otherwise, that's it. Thanks so much. And Laura, stay right where you're at. And to everybody else, thank you for coming. And we'll see you Sunday.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.
Or tomorrow night.